this show was quite amazing, and I'll bring Bridgetti in a moment so we can actually continue with that. What we're actually doing this week is putting together a live video production blueprint for people who want to produce shows and for people who want to hire show producers, so that both sides know the questions to ask, the information they need, and come to an agreement and produce the perfect broadcast. Well, almost perfect, as we've learned. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Lottie as she switches her microphone on and bring Bridgetti into the conversation.
Oh, Stephen, thank you very much, Stephen, for producing today. And hello on this side to the wonderful Joe, who is further down south of me in Ireland. And over there, Marco. And hello to Bridgetti down below. So, folks, lads, as we say in Ireland, Joe backs that up. We all week have been discussing, I put it up on my whiteboard, DIY or pro for production. I think from the feedback that we've been getting from everybody this week and the questions, brilliant questions, thank you everybody. Please do put them down below in the chat and then Stephen can bring them up on screen. I suppose the wrap up for the week, bearing in mind that we wanted to create a production blueprint, I want to pass it first to Joe to explain what he's actually been working on behind the scenes. But before we do that, Bridgetti, Marco, DIY or pro, what do you consider to be having had tech mayors putting my shows on today and spend like 5 hours yesterday and 5 hours this morning trying to put on one show, what do you think people should really be looking for in these COVID times for a business show, after the discussions that we've all had all week? Bridgetti.
Well, hello from Cape Town in South Africa, everyone. First of all, I think, businesses should be looking at hiring a producer and not trying to wing it or trying to learn the tech in a hurry. I think we've kind of established that, technology, although it's easy to use and we must embrace it, there is a learning curve like with anything. I always like to equate it to learning to drive a car. You don't just jump into the car and you drive. But after you've driven for a couple of months and you become a pro driver, you start to wonder, why did it take me this long? Why was I so scared that the car would just run away with me? And it's pretty much the same with live streaming. Just realize that it's going to take you a couple of months to learn the tech and to get the on-camera confidence. So while you get there, in preparation for that journey, you don't have the time, because what you want to do right now is let your clients know that you are open for business. So you don't have time to make that journey. So until then, hire a producer while you get to know the tech.
People who are kind of going, yeah, I'd love to, but budget-wise with COVID and everything, I know we started talking about prices at the end of the show on Monday, and the kind of the value that having a producer, monetary investment, value that you get back as a result for you and for your business and your brand. I know on Tuesday, Wednesday, Bridgetti, you had a great discussion about the branding and brand you. But Marco, having heard what Bridgetti has just reintroduced there, what would you say is the first step to creating a production blueprint that you can DIY or that you can work with a producer to create these live shows?
Well, I think one of the most important things is to know how to promote it, because one of the problems we face, and I think it's to almost everything, is that you have this amazing content and you don't know how to spread it, how to reach the right people. So I think, because I think lots of times the problem on both ends is that you don't know how to find the right customer or to reach the right customer, and the right customer for you doesn't know how to reach you. So I think it's truly important to think about it. And I think it's good to, on the blueprint, to cover all the things that overwhelm people when they are thinking about going live. And okay, this thing, it's important, this thing is not that important, this thing is important, but you can't not give them so importance when you're starting. For instance, I'm giving all the time this example. When I started doing live shows, I had 0.5 mega upload speed, which means I didn't have, I had around 10% of the speed I need to make proper live shows. And that's one point that, and thankfully my ignorance didn't stop me from going live. I think it's one of the most important things when we are building this blueprint, is to make people understand which is really a need, which is really important, and which it's important but not a need, so they can understand how they can start as fast as they can. And one of the things that makes us to start as fast as we can is to have the right advices from the right people who knows the live stream world, and which knows these things that I've been talking about, and Bridgetti also, because I think it's it. One of the things I used to talk to people when they think about, why should I pay someone to hello Steven, why should I pay someone to, because he spent 5 minutes giving that advice, why should I pay? And you're not paying the 5 minutes a consultant or a mentor or someone spent to give that advice. You're paying the amount of time you're saving, because he or she gives you that advice, and the security this advice is bringing to you, because you would not need to say, staying there, okay, is this the right thing to do, is this the right path, is this the right way, I'm picking the right camera, I'm picking the right and this person first of all is giving you advices. And then one of the things you should think about is also, should I hire this producer? Should I hire a producer who will train me just train? I think it's important to cover these broad topics, which gives the person the whole range of possibilities they will have in this so amazing live stream world. I think it's the most important thing, is everything that could happen, everything, every scenario you can face, and which ones is better for you.
I think that I just actually I was just typing there, so I'm trying to connect with Facebook as well. But I love that what you were saying there. What's at the very beginning of that, Marco, is I kind of went, oh yes, it's we can decide this is important, but then, as I was always mentored, what is important and urgent? What do you really, really, really need to be doing, so that you can build on those steps that take you to the future? And I always love, Marco, that you say that, and then you always say, and make it easy.
Absolutely.
So with all of that, Joe, I'm going to come to you next, because you are doing something very amazing in the background for all of us here in this Be Live in 5 community team of fellow live mentors. Whatever tool we're using, we've all gone live for numbers of years now. And we've all had tech mayors and disasters. So I suppose, where can people see an example of a blueprint? How can people start to create a blueprint? And Joe, can you tell us about the little behind the scenes that you've been planning over here with input from all of us from our own live worlds?
Yeah, brilliant. Hi guys, welcome to Cahill Folger and from here in Ireland. Notes from the week that are rapidly ongoing. The whole idea of the framework blueprint is, as Steve said on Monday, there isn't anything really out there. There are some superb professional live streams that we all learn from. But for ordinary people who, there's two options, as said at the beginning of, as was said at the beginning of the week. One is that you produce yourself, your own show, so that's effectively hosting and producing, or you become a producer for other people. For me, you need to understand the difference. I've had a lot of discussions with people this week who say, why do we need to tell people that there's 4 different layers? Bridgetti brought up on Monday or Tuesday. Fab. I think there is, because what you're doing is you're just dispelling some myths out there that it's easy to go live. It is easy to go live, but it's not easy to produce a professional show. For me, it's about keeping the whole show informal. And again, today we'll reiterate some of the things that we've chatted about this week. It's all that on the iceberg model. Below the waterline, the 90% is where all the hard work is. It's that engaging with potential guests and hosts and businesses. And you've got to sit down and do that discovery period with them and ask them why they want to be doing it. What is the message they want to get across? What do they want to achieve? I don't want to take somebody's business who doesn't really need it or doesn't really want it. I'd rather have the chat with them, because a no now is not a no never. It's not a no at this time for for both of us. It's not just about taking money. There's too many people out there who would do that. So we're working on a framework blueprint over the next few weeks, which will give people an idea of understanding about what live streaming is. If live streaming by 2021 is going to be worth 70 billion, that's a serious business to be involved with. So you have to take it serious yourself. I don't believe you can be a producer unless you've been a host, and you've been a host for a set of time. It depends on how long you're comfortable with, but I think you have to understand what it's like to host the show for you to then to produce. So you've got really host, producer, and that's the sort of 3 areas for me. So we'll be preparing a framework blueprint over the next couple of weeks, which we'll then get out to everybody, and that will give people an idea of where they can go. One of the questions I've had fed back into me by a lot of people this week is, who is it for? Well, for me, I want to be aiming this at small and artisan businesses, organizations, charitable organizations, causes, that sort of thing. Why do you want to do it? Well, I'll tell you why you use a producer is because, as Marco just said, it's easy. It takes the pressure off you. There are people out there. We've had some guys on this week. We did a show for them. They run their own company now, professional rugby players. And yet we took all the pressure off because all of the work was done for them, so that, actually one was sick in the end. One turned up, bump, it was hit. It was distributed everywhere. It was very professional, but in an informal way. I don't think there's enough companies at the moment who are building in business resilience to what they're doing. Not enough small and artisan businesses, especially. And that's where my focus. So when I write this for the rest of the team to start looking at, I'll be working with a guy in the UK who's my partner, and we do this together. And what we'll be looking at is this from an end user's point of view. So having been a host producer, and now a producer, we'll be looking at that as, okay, if I go to somebody and say, listen, we can help you to stay open, get the message out there that your business is still open, that you're engaging. It's the simplest and the best way to engage with your clients and future clients and get a message out there through live streaming. And that's what we're trying to do. And it's just as simple as that.
Doing a Lottie, unmute myself, and while Joe's been chatting there, I decided to kind of give a different perspective to the live show here, because when you've got another producer, I always think, folks, that it gives us as hosts, and I love that 3-step, the host producer, that's what I call DIY, then pro producer level. But when, like today, we've got Stephen producing for us, I think for us as hosts, it gives us this freedom to be able to move around. And as I always say, play on camera. This is my confidence on camera coaching that I bring to people, is this is our space to learn how to play on screen. I used to say play with yourself on camera, but that didn't go down very well. So what have you particularly liked? I'll come back to you, Bridgetti, first, and then we'll go around the room again. Bridgetti, what do you feel, having somebody supporting you, guiding you, helping you with the pro production side, what freedoms has it given you as a host, an interviewer, a live expert that you are?
Lottie, are you asking, for myself, if I were to have someone produce for me?
Yes, like for example, Stephen's producing this show for us today. I've been typing away. That's a freedom for me, is that I can actually get included in the chat, in the comments over there, which I love doing. And that's the interactive part for me. That's part of my joy of doing this. So what's the biggest freedom that it's given you by passing off that production responsibility to a pro producer?
Well, I must tell you, I love producing. So for me, I actually feel it a bit of a loss. I want to push buttons. I'm a bit of a control freak. I love to control things. And I love to have control over my productions. That's just me personally. But if I speak to the freedom that it offers clients, they can focus on what it is they want to share with their audience. And they don't have to worry about that at all. A lot of people get befuddled by all the steps that you have to take in the process of producing a show. You don't have to worry about that. People worry about the comments that they may get and, being able to regulate those comments. The producer can manage all of that on your behalf. But for me, it all starts with a discovery call is the most important thing. And, the other day I did mention, for example, what my sort of minimum fee would be for producing a show. But again, it starts with that discovery call, because what is the purpose for your live? Why do you want to go live? Are you going to be generating income from this? Is it for a cause? Where are you at in your journey? All of those things is what we're going to figure out in the discovery call, which is important. And I know there was a question from Gospel on Monday when we raised this issue of a discovery call, which is so important. She said, how long is the discovery call? For me, actually, it's as long as it takes to understand the client and their client's needs. I usually would book off 30 minutes, but I've had discovery calls that were an hour, that were an hour and a half, that were 2 hours long. So for me personally, I would rather take that time and understand that I'm 100% on the same page with the person, because it's a relationship that you're starting with them, or a possible relationship, and you want to make sure that you both understand where you are headed and what you're going to be doing with the show, because you have to be in tune with the person. You need to be able to read the person's cues. So you need to find out, are you going to gel with this person to start off with? If I don't get that sense that I'm going to gel with this person, or that I can do justice to what it is that they're wanting to know or to achieve at the end of the series of live streams, I will not take on the client. So be honest with yourself. What is it that you can offer, and what is it that your client wants to achieve, and can you help them achieve their goals? Can you get behind what it is that they're wanting to share using live video? If you can't get behind their message or their passion, then don't take on that project. So that's my sort of sense. And it's simply because I do want to be helpful. I want to be useful. So I want to make sure I'm on the same page.
Totally down with that. And I just actually posted up, Olga Gadane, thank you for saying what is the purpose of you going live? That is the key. She says, I love that. And other comments, Chris de Boven, hello Chris, is saying, and as a mentor producer can help us while we are hosting and producing our first live broadcastings. Yes, that's kind of what we were alluding to at the very beginning. But Bridgetti, I love that about the discovery call. I think the most important thing for me, and gents, you're the same, is it gives you the opportunity to find out, do you even like this person? Do you want to work with them? And you can just go, oh, you really don't like what they're saying, but you can just, rather than saying no, just no. Yes, you say no, but you say it in the loveliest possible way of saying, I tell you what, I'm probably not the best person for you to speak to. Why don't you speak to Joe in Gory? Why don't you speak to Marco? Not that I'm passing off all the duff ones to these guys.
I don't speak English. Don't say this to me.
So have you, gents, have you had those duff? I know I have. I've spent an hour on the phone to people and they are just pulling. They are just doing this, trying to get every single bit of knowledge from you. And for me, I go, you know what? I don't care. But what that proves to me is you are not a giver, you are a taker. Therefore, I know that working with you is not in my future. So I love that when that happens, actually, because it's easy to say no. So Joe, Marco, anybody? What's your experience with that sort of scenario with a discovery call?
Well, it's truly important. And one thing about coming back to this money thing. For me, I don't have a strict table when I do. Okay, I charge you this per hour, and then it's negotiable. One of the things for me it's truly important is to understand two things. First, how much that person can pay to you, and how committed will they be with this. And for me, it's truly important this second part, because for me, it's more pleasant to work with someone who couldn't pay me the normal fees I used to charge, but they are committed, and I know they will take advantage of all the knowledge I had. And for me, I like to think about my business as the impact I'm causing and not the profits I'm having. So for me, it's most important to work with people which I know will take advantage of what I'm bringing to them, than to work with people who are putting everything in cost. Because the problem with this kind of people is that every little thing that doesn't go the right way, it's always my fault, not their fault. It's because Marco, you didn't tell us, you didn't make it. And that's one thing. I usually at the beginning, without saying I don't want to work with you, I get rid of this kind of toxic people, which maybe some of them could pay you what you ask, but you don't want to work with them because they're not you don't have this feeling with these people. And some of them, I had this call a few months ago, and for each solution I bring to the table, they will brought 10 problems. And one of the things that make me think, I think this is not for you. And when she mentioned in a depreciative way, this thing of, I don't know, it's live streaming. And I said to myself, what a wonderful thing to say goodbye to you. Because I think it's when the people, again, if you need to work hard to convince the other people that you're the right person, this live stream thing is the right thing for them, maybe it's not the right fit for you. And that's why one thing I like to do is educate. Because if you educate people, if you stay in front our live frequently, people will know you. People will know how you can help them. People will know how your personality is, and this in my opinion, will avoid this kind of people which are not a good fit for you to work. And for me, this is fundamental, because if I have to stay 1 hour convincing someone that live streaming works for them, that I am the right people to help them, I'm wasting my time, because within that hour I could be live creating an amazing show, sharing with people, or it drains my energy. It drains also, and this for me it's so important, my peace. My peace is it's priceless. So again, it's very important to understand, and I think you can understand this within the first 5 minutes of conversation, if this is a good fit as a client for you. We lost.
Marco, I think you've nailed it. Marco, you've totally nailed it. I also believe that, you can tell within the first couple of minutes, which direction this is going to take. Sometimes you could read somebody incorrectly, but
Yeah,
but you'll figure it out within the sort of first 15, 30 minutes. You'll quickly establish whether it's worth spending that additional time with a person or not. And yes, I would much rather, and that's the nice thing, I think, about the community that we have. We're such a close-knit community that if you know somebody's not going to work for you, you are in the best position to recommend somebody else that may be a better fit for them. And also because we are all spread across the globe in different time zones, we're also well placed to be able to direct people to someone that may be a better match for them. And that's the amazing thing about having a community set up the way we do, so that we can do referrals. And I think we've also learned, in the last couple of years, we've learned what each other's strengths and weaknesses are. And so we can also determine who may be a good client for which producer.
absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we're all different. I mean, everybody's become relatively good friends through this process of working together as live streamers. We may not. One of the things I have to learn with people is that I have to see, our misconceptions of people based upon an appearance or what they say or their viewpoint or anything like that. So you have to, it's about learning ourselves. So I have to look through. Sometimes the initial bit to say, okay, can I help this person? Does this person want to be helped? And sometimes they don't. There are a lot of people out there who I found over the last 2.5 years, because I am the newest kid on the block to this in comparison to everybody else. But I've learned there are a lot of people out there who will just want something for nothing. And they want to take your ideas and they want to take all your knowledge. And I've been guilty. I've been doing that for people. And in recent times, I've said no to 1 or 2 people. And of course, and that hasn't gone down well. I've been unfriended by a couple of people because I'd done stuff for them, and it's like, do you know what? I felt really bad. I got bent out of shape because I felt I'd done something wrong. But again, I'm a big old lump of a unit who's been around the globe a long time, and I have to learn that actually it's not about me. It's about them. So some of the points that I've sort of picked up on is, we as producers or host producers it's going to come to us in 2 different ways. Either we're going to identify a business that we'd like to approach. If, like me, you're relatively starting off on that side of things, I'm well established, 250 live shows for some small businesses and mostly in sport and rugby and lifestyle and stuff like that. But I'm now looking to target businesses that I can help, and that's the whole thing. So that's quite simple. So I'm learning. So when I'm writing this blueprint for everybody else, I don't care about what Marco says or thinks initially. I don't care about Bridgetti. I don't care about anybody else, because that allows me to be open to what they're saying. So I'm not prejudging anything, because each of us, one of the big things I'm thinking is, each of us will look at things in different ways based on our experience and what it is that we believe. Everything that I'll be writing in the blueprint for the rest of the team to take away and peruse is based on me being a client. What would I want to look for? The rest of the team are far, far more experienced than me, and they will look at things in a different way. So the feedback I will get will allow me to learn and sort of take away. So two ways that people are going to come to us. We either identify a business, an organization, or a charitable cause, something like that, who we believe that we can add value to in what they're doing, or they will approach us. What I always immediately do is I get, however they've approached, I say, right, here's the link. Let's jump in the studio. When are you free? And I schedule a quick 30 minutes in. The reason I do that, it's because it's the first step to getting them into the studio, to showing them the setup, and to make them feel comfortable in that environment, because a lot of them might not be. So it's okay, you know, a quick call on the phone, but let's get them into the studio straight away and get that done. Okay, it must. Once you're doing that discovery exercise, when you're chatting with them, you're getting to know who that person is. And like the guys have said, can you work with them? Do you get a good feel for them? Can you build a long-term relationship and engagement with them that's going to help both of you? I want to become an extension to the team that I'm working with. That's the way I do it. Sometimes, actually, I'll take on a bit too much. I'll say, right, I can do that for you, can do that for you. I found that in recent weeks, and then I've gone back to some of my clients in the last couple of weeks for the shows when they say, listen, sorry, lads, if I've interfered a bit. No, not at all. They've loved it because I've gone that extra mile and I've positioned myself that I'm actually part of working with them for the long term. And that's a really good way to be doing it. How much? Well, it's difficult area for me because I hate dealing with money. Everybody knows that. But what I've done now is I've put together a starting package of bronze, silver, and gold. I have a starting figure in my head that we discussed the other day, but it becomes negotiable because I want to be working with somebody over 10 or 15 or 20 years. So it's not about the money. I'm not driven by that. It's about how can I add value. I'll identify businesses, or business will come to me, and what I want to say to them is I want to help them. I think it was Marco what Bridgetti said before, about letting people know that your business during COVID and beyond is open, that you're available for business. It's the best way to engage with those clients and future clients. And it is building business resilience, because COVID and other stuff, God forbid, 2.0 is coming, is already here for some. And to stop businesses going under, we can get businesses to understand that live streaming, engaging with the community through the Facebook pages or through other social platforms as well, is part of their business resilience that will keep them going. And it's all stuff like that. I just go back to Kipling's 5Ws, what, where, when, why, how, and who, and go through all that with the person I'm in the studio with, a part of that discovery exercise, and you build an understanding. You get inside their head of what they're trying to do. We are all different. We will all leave things a different way. But at the end of the day, when the blueprint is done, if everybody who takes that blueprint away does at least 75% of that blueprint, we will have a more professionally engaged and connected community where we are all working as live streamers, both as host producers or producers, in a far, far more professional way.
Big hands for Joe there. And I'm loving the comments that are coming in, Joe, while you're chatting, while you've all three of you been chatting through that. I've been busy typing in the other room. And Tina is back, one of our other mentors from Be Live in 5, and she's saying you never know where live can lead. Tina and I, we found that we've never even met each other, but going with Ladies Go Live and meeting Bridgetti and meeting all these fantastic people, that is the heart behind. And while listening to you and talking about business resilience there, Joe, I was thinking that it's not necessarily just business. And I know that for all of us, the sense of community, and that's part of the reason why we all gel and connect and love working with each other so much at Be Live in 5, is because we all do have that community spirit. And it's about the connection, the community, the collaboration. Money may not be a driver for you. Money may be a driver for you. Hey, that's okay. The biggest issue for me would be then is to please stop listening to other people. We spoke about the importance of listening to your guests when you're interviewing them and listening to comments from your viewers who are watching with you, but stop listening to what other people say about you on screen. Stop listening to yourself. This will mess up yourself more than anything else, because you will be the worst judge of you far more so than anybody else will ever be. So get rid of that judgment devil. Thank you for the thoughts and dismiss them, and welcome in the perception angel that says, hey, I've got an idea. People love hearing it. TEDx right now that I'm working with, ideas worth spreading. You've got them. Have the guts to go for it and stop putting yourself down, please. And with that, I also say that we're global live. Wherever we go, we are globally live. So global live. So I have to say a big shout out and a hello to Roz, g'day to you in South Australia. And then Michael, you've made me go Aruba. Da-na-na, da-na-na. So I'm doing a dance in my own brain while I've been out there, Michael. So thank you for that. You never know. I love that, Joe. Never know where your next client is going to come from. They approach you, you approach them. This is actually where most of my clients in the last 4 years have found me, is through this world. And you know what the lovely thing is? Conversation about whether you like them or not. They've already decided they like you and they want to work with you. So it takes it away from you because you can simply support and guide and help them and give them all of that, all of the giveaway. I love people ask a question. I can say, well, I don't know about that, but go and see Stephen's Be Live, Be Live 2 course. That's what you need to do. I was saying that to the TEDx team this morning and our founder this morning. I can't train you as well as Stephen can train you. I can't train you as well as Bridgetti can train you, because these guys are Be Live mentors. So go and do their courses. If you're going to bother with this, take the time to give yourself that peace of mind that Marco was talking about. Make it easy for yourself. Invest time in you to do this, please.
I just want to pick up on something that that Joe said earlier, with regards to business resilience during COVID and why you should hire a producer. A lot of companies have gone out of business. So yes, again, just re-emphasizing the fact that you want to let people know that you are open for business and what it is that you're doing. But the other thing I wanted to pick up to add to that comment is the fact that a lot of businesses, because of COVID, have had to pivot in what they are doing. So you can use live streaming and the services of a live stream producer to let people know how it is you've pivoted, what you've done, and to tell stories. We come back to that again. I have seen so many businesses survive out of nothingness during COVID because they have told the stories of the people that they support. So if you go out there and you share that, I've got Joe Blog that works for me. Joe's wife has got cancer. Joe's got 3 children that he's putting through school. The eldest in university. The little one is just doing XYZ. Can you help me by supporting my business so that I can support Joe Soap? Those are the kind of things that we want to do right now. If you're just simply going around and saying, I'm selling XYZ and this is what I'm charging for it, it's not the time to do hard selling. But if you can focus on the story of your business, tell people how you got started in your business, tell people the story of how you pivoted, tell people the stories of the people that work for you and with you, tell them who the businesses are that's dependent on your business. Use live streaming to tell those stories, and you will see it's going to make a phenomenal difference. And right now, you may not have the capacity to do that by yourself, and that is why it'll be good for you to consider hiring a live stream producer to help you tell those stories effectively. Because when you're using software like BeLive, for example, it's got an amazing live selling tool right now that you may not figure out how to use or use it effectively. But a producer can do that for you. You can share your screen, you can show your logo on screen, you can brand yourself. Those are little aspects that, will take time for you to learn, but you need to do the churn right now. You're needing eyes on your business right now. You're needing to make the sales right now. You're needing to show people what it is that you're doing. So the fastest way to get to your goal of helping people understand what it is you're doing to survive right now during COVID is to hire a producer, so that you can get your message out there a lot faster. It's not going to take you those good couple of months that it's going to take you to learn the technology and how to use it most effectively. So from that perspective, it would be good. And again, like everyone else said here, I don't think any one of us have got a hard and fast rule. You know, if you come to us and say, look, this is my situation, can you help me? I don't think any one of us are going to turn you away simply because you don't have the money up front to pay for it. So each situation is different. Everything will be dealt with on merit. Well, that's my feeling. Anyway, you know, I'm going to treat you, I'm going to look at the situation differently if you're an NGO that's struggling to survive. And, you know, whether it's a blue chip company that's got the budget, it's two different scenarios. So there's no hard and fast rule there. What I can say is talk to us, have that discovery call, and we take it from there. Let's help, you know, we want to help you reach your goals. That really is the aim of this process, and to let you know what it is that you can expect. Talking about, you know, I just want to add something in terms of what it is that you can expect from a live stream producer. You can also expect your live stream producer to help you look your best that you can possibly be on camera. Not just yourself, but also your guests. You can expect them to give you a guideline, you know, in fact, tell you exactly what it is that you need to do to look good on camera and to come across in a professional manner and to deliver your message. So expect your producer to give you those guidelines and to have checks and balances in place so that you don't duff it up on screen. Nobody wants to look silly. You want to look good on camera. And you want to feel confident. And so if you have a good relationship with your producer, that is going to be their goal, to help you look good on camera and deliver your message in a manner that is professional, you know, or befitting of the company that you represent. So your producer will give you detailed guidelines of what to do and what not to do on camera. Expect that from them.
And your producer need not appear on camera with you. They can be the background guiding you and talking away and listening to the conversation and picking up on bits. And just one part.
Who's there?
If your first language is Spanish or Portuguese, then there are courses on Udemy by Marco that you can take. Back to you.
I think there's so many phenomenal courses out there. It's funny. I've been doing my confidence on camera coaching and mentoring. I'm training TV presenters for 30 odd years and presenting and speaking, professional speakers, but I love coming into this particular community because it is that connection, that collaboration. As Tina just wrote in the comments, we used to say at Ladies Go Live, I said, it's all about collaborating over competing. And I said, so 2018 is the year for you to love COC. Your dirty mind, not mine, says that in whatever way you want to. And so the collaborating over compete, that's been a key for us there. And I want you to remember here, thank you, Steve, for putting that up, all the questions that you are currently asking yourself or saying, oh, I wonder if they're going to talk about that. While we've been chatting, our job here is simply to instigate you to create your blueprint. You know where you start. You are the one that knows where you want to go. Yes, we can give you suggestions. We can give you guidance, mentoring, everything that Bridgetti was just saying there. Most of all, your producer, I agree with you, Bridgetti, your producer should be the one giving you the confidence on camera. A good producer should be able to do that with you. Like Tina was saying on Wednesday, a professional photographer, a good producer should know. You don't want to be over here. You don't want to be down here because you're going to get cut off by the lower third. Simple little things that we see too much on Zoom and video chats. And we had a great definition on Monday with when to video chat, when to actually use live stream. And Tina's saying a great producer tells it like it is. And it reminded me there everything you were saying, Bridgetti. I always forget the things that are in my book. And I always forget that I used to have an old phrase from 30 years ago, which was in Australia, stuff up with confidence and get over it. Learn to laugh. And that then turned into hashtag we need to be flawsome, which is have your flaws, own them, and do them awesome. So with that in mind, Joe, I'm going to talk to you. Because Stephen and I have both been having tech mares today and yesterday and connection issues and unloading, reloading there. Can you admit, each of you, what have been your biggest disasters? I really wish I hadn't done that. I wish I'd had a producer. Go on, Joe, over to you.
Well, mine has been a sort of I've failed my way through. But one of the first things I got very comfortable with doing was I was doing some testing on my own and with Stephen using BeLive, and I went live. I went live on my own page. I went live on my own timeline, and it was great because some people went, "Oh, I wouldn't really do that." Oh, I don't give a monkey's toss what other people do. It was a way for me to show people that live stream was there, how simple it was, and it gets to the stage now. If I do a test run, people come on and they engage and they will tell you whether your video is great, whether your audio is great. You have a little chat with them. Do you know what? That's the first step for breaking down anything. I have no problems in going to do that. So I've overcome an awful lot of those things. Where things have gone wrong, I had a show about have been technical issues. 5 minutes before, even though you've done a Windows update, for some reason Windows wants an update, and then it can take 20 minutes, and then you're hoofed. The biggest one I had a guy on from New Zealand and a guy on from Gibraltar on a weekly rugby show, and I got completely locked out of my own show. I couldn't do anything. Support couldn't do anything, and it went. And what they were very good. It just became a standing joke that they just carried on the chat until BeLive tech team could close us down. We couldn't get into it. I couldn't get into it. I couldn't control my own back office. And well, what do you do? Well, we were chatting. I was watching my own show while they were taking the mickey out of me, and that's it. Things go wrong, but it's all part of you can plan as much as you want. But the old adage of don't work with animals and children, add technology to that. Why would we do it? But if you know that something can go wrong, you have part of the thing that you do with your client, especially if you're just producing, is you have a thing called actions on. So what? And you have a list of actions on that if A happens, there's B or C. So from what we in the voice were left of arc to right of arc, something simple to something catastrophic. And if it's catastrophic and you have to pull the plug and apologize, even if you put it into 80 forums and then you have to go back again because it just disappears and people know that you will be back at another time, then it's going to happen. So have an actions on plan that you get comfortable and used with. And I'll include that in the blueprint so that if something happens, whoever, whether you're host producing or just producing, whoever you're working with, knows that you have got something in place and you've chatted it through with them and you've got the host chat room there. It's all part of that reassurance thing. We should never start without having an actions on plan because it will go wrong.
Totally will. Because I always think as well, I always like Bridgetti, I know you interview a lot of people and for all sorts of, whether it's been for your water crisis in South Africa or whether it's been for your community projects or your business projects. You are a phenomenal interviewer and I love it as well myself. And that whole concept, Joe, of pre-meeting with your interviewee. I know for every event that I've ever done, every virtual summit, the meet the speaker moments, people think it's just marketing, but actually it's not. It's so that you can test that they can go live virtually with you. So you have a pre-meeting before the meet the speaker, and then you feel a lot more confident when it comes around to the summit or to the event that they can actually go live. So yes, we have had all sorts of disasters about that. We've lost keynote speakers who haven't been able to get on, but we all know the tech mayors happen. And when you've picked guests that you know and trust, like Joe was saying, they can carry on. So, Bridgetti, in that vein of interviewing and meeting people, have you ever had any, what's been your biggest doozy?
Well, I interviewed the just past Minister of Water in Australia. So that was a huge interview for me, and my internet connection was fine, you know, a couple of weeks before that on the day, and as we go live, my internet connection decides it's not going to play ball. So that was not fun, because it's not the kind of person that you can say, well, can we reschedule for tomorrow? You know, that's not the kind of thing that you can do with somebody at that level. So that was disappointing. But what I do now is, you know, I preempt that with every single show, because even, you know, I think what you need to realize is, despite your best efforts, you can have practice sessions, you can practice, test, but things can still go wrong at the very last minute. You know, everything can be set up, but your internet connection can still fail. What I do is, I now do have a backup. I ensure that I've got enough data on my mobile phone, so that's a backup plan. So always have a plan B if possible. I have on occasion, and it hasn't happened very often, but I have on occasion, if we've gone live prior to hitting the go live button, and I'm sort of having my pre-conversation with the guests, and I can tell that either my internet connection is really bad or their internet connection is really bad, even if it's a scheduled show, I will say to them, let's postpone the show rather. Because it's more important for me that you walk away feeling good about the interview, that you've got a great video that you can reuse. I don't want to proceed with the interview and then you end up with a video that's not reusable because it's so bad. I would much rather give you my honest opinion and say, let's reschedule. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Tech happens. Teach the people you work with that despite best efforts, things can and they still will go wrong, but that it's okay. I also teach people that if I disappear off screen for some reason because I'm gone, don't say, Bridgetti, where have you gone? Because you're ruining video. I have to edit that out. Carry on with the conversation, but know that I'm in the background and I will come back as soon as I can. And if you drop out, I will continue with the show, refresh your screen, come back in again. All of those conversations you want to have with your client before you go live and just before you go live, re-emphasizing those things to give them the assurance that you are in control of the production, that you will fix whatever is going on. And so when people hassle about paying a producer, you're paying them for the experience that they've had over the last couple of years. You're not paying them for being live for 20 minutes or for 30 minutes or for an hour. It's not about the time. It's the value that they can add to the video and the production that you are going to benefit from. That's what you need to consider.
Bridgetti, it's the power of just reminding everybody of that. It's just recently worked with a client and I said, I actually recreated my checklist. I have a specific, we're talking about, Joe's been mentioning that, yes, we are putting together a production blueprint for everybody. And this is going to be all going in a book at some point down the track. But that checklist, again, we can provide, any one of us can say, yeah, there's a checklist you can share. We used to do this at Ladies Go Live all the time. But actually, your checklist is unique to you. I do different things because I have 2 separate laptops. I've had to create 2 separate BeLive accounts. I've had to uninstall, reinstall. These are things that I didn't know that I had to know. And until you know what you don't know, there is no way that you can get to conscious competence or unconscious competence, which is the expert level. And I'm loving again, there's some great comments. Patricia Hayes, you jumped in here, and Peter Stewart said, had a guest doped up.
I was there. He was.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Half the time anyway. It's fine. But again, you know what your fallbacks are to when things happen. And Gospel saying practice makes progress. And Tina says when you look good, your show comes across so much better. Totally agree. Now, Tina's just said, say we are unable to proceed. BC, I uphold certain standards. Oh, that's what she was advice. She just said, apologies, we're unable to proceed. I want to uphold my standards. But I think, Bridgetti, with politicians, they're the ones who are so much around the world right now. I think we can have the higher standard of saying, you know what, even for a politician, you are better, or a very important person, you are much better to let them go and say, you know what, I feel I'm wasting your time right now. I actually have done, when it's somebody really, really important, I've done pre-records. And I know, Marco, you're not a great fan of pre-records, but what I learned then earlier this year was put the pre-record as a video in video of the show. So I can still go live, but I play the video recording. That's another alternative. But again, only you can work out what you need to do to go through with your show. And Patricia said she had a guest who fainted on camera. Talk about awkward. Well, Patricia, that's why if I am doing my stand-up desk, I also have, if I start to feel a bit wobbly, I also have my stool I can perch myself down on and tilt the camera down to stop wasting the space. So, and there's another question here. I want to pass this on to you, Marco, because as our tech genius in the room, one of them, you and Stephen, can you go on 4G when your internet doesn't work? I'd say in Ireland, as far as I know, you can, but Marco,
absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
But can we go live on a mobile from a mobile phone in Be Live?
Yeah, there's a turnaround to make it. Sorry, Stephen.
You can't start a broadcast on mobile yet.
Is that one of the new new things?
One of the things you can do, for instance, if you have a laptop, you can set your mobile phone as the internet source, okay, and then you can use it on your laptop.
I think that's the question he was having, Marco.
Yeah.
Is exactly that. Is can you use your 4G? So I mean, 4G's on my phone, and you would tether the connection.
You can define the phone as a hotspot, and then it's okay. I made it a couple of times. I would love to add something about this situation about guests, which for me it's truly important. One of the things we should have in mind is that is a great advantage for you to have a guest with everything he can bring to you, like audience, like authority, like more knowledge, a different point of view, and everything. And it's good for you as a host to think about it. But also, I think it's important for the guest to understand that it's also a good opportunity for him or for her. So, and thinking about this situation we be talking about, it's good to have in mind a strict and serious casting to choose the right guest. Which means, for instance, watch him as a guest. For instance, does he or she has a nice internet and camera to show up on the screen properly? Does he or she goes to like live on a mobile, because it's awkward to see this portrait mode on the screen while you're doing live show. Does he knows that, or she, that when you are a guest, you should give the best of yourself, and this doesn't include to go live on a terrace, on a cafe where are people crossing by and talking and laughing and everything? Does he know that he or she needs to be nice and kind while they are live? They understand that on live streaming, as you should have, things could go wrong, and I think we should not use this kind of disaster word, because It's not a disaster. Disaster is what is happening with this COVID. It's a disaster. I think we should embrace these not so good situations as laughable situations, because we should understand that we are vulnerable. This platform is even more vulnerable than the others. So if everything goes wrong, or at least if something goes wrong, it's okay. It's not a disaster. It's a happening. Because sometimes we put this so in a so bad way that, for instance, it's okay for us. For instance, the other day, I hit go live on Restream without putting the channels which I want to go live on. So we were live on nowhere for about 20 minutes, and we were talking and discussing situations, and then I looked at the setup and I thought not even one button was on, and that's it. It was a disaster. No, it was a stupid thing I made, and I think we should reinforce this to those people, because they are so scared because they go live, and this round lens look at us is so frightening for other people. What should the people on the other side think about me? So if we put this disaster thing on their mind, this is even more frightening for them. Okay, one of the things I like to do also is to test live. Let's go live, new feature, let's test it live. And I put there a kind of disclaimer, testing. Okay, and that's it, because I like to seem vulnerable, at least. Okay, so people understand this is how it is. This is how real life is. So get rid of
that makes a promo. That makes a promo show. I did exactly that this morning because things wouldn't work. That gives you your promo show then, Marco, as well. And what you were just saying there about I agree with you, the disaster. That's why I make up silly rhymes. That's why I make up silly things. Having started on stage and in television with kids and having to hold the snake and be almost crying.
Oh my God, that for me would be a disaster.
That for me was a disaster. I think, like Joe said, never work with kids and animals. That's where I started in television 30 odd years ago, nearly 30 odd years ago. And you learn that you simply have to stuff up with confidence, get over it, have the tech mayors and let them go, because otherwise you're never going to be able to go live. So laugh at yourself, please. That's judgment devil. Get rid of them. And just before we wrap up, I'm going to do what Stephen does to me and pass it back to him to wrap up the show while we're all going, but I just want to, there are two questions here. Gospel said, should a guest expect a producer to bring their own audience? I think a producer helps you promote a show, but the producer is there to produce and bring the best out with you, not for you, with you as a team. So it's down to you. And I would say, don't know about you guys, I'd say my guests, yes, or an event, a summit like TEDx, I'm expecting the speakers to be the ones bringing the guests to the party. I go for interviewees and guests that may or may not have done this before. Because I've interviewed so many people, I know I can have somebody who isn't comfortable being live. Because for me, Confidence on Camera, Live with Lottie, my show is about coaching people live, how to be better doing this. So I can kind of put that in. That is my product, my brand at the end of it. And Peter was also saying there as well, or Patricia, no, wait a minute. I'm losing track of the comments here. And Bo, by the way, thank you, Bo, for saying it. The 4G network provider, that would limit the speed that you can have. But Marco, I always love your advice on that. Plug in the cable. If your Wi-Fi is bad, restart your broadband and plug in the cable.
Absolutely.
So Bridgetti, as it's the wrap, I'm going to come to Joe first. Do a 1 minute wrap up of why is a blueprint, a production blueprint, number one thing to do for you right now in this COVID year?
Because it's about time. Even before COVID, I think that 2020 was the time when live streaming was going to take off. I think with COVID and other factors and working from home and businesses looking to, I use the word again, create business resilience, or as Bridgetti said, to show how they've pivoted around and doing alternative things. Now at the time is more critical. 9 months on when all this started, people are now used to seeing people from their homes coming through. It's become the norm. It will only ever be the norm from now on. So the idea of the blueprint is really critical to give people a starting point that explains to them the differences between just going live on your phone, doing a Zoom chat or a Microsoft Meetings or whatever, to doing a produced show, and whether that's you hosting, producing, or producing yourself. It becomes critical that people understand to look professional. And that is one of the reasons why we're putting the blueprint together, to help people as a start point to take them from where they are to where they need to be.
Bridgetti, Marco, do you want to add anything to that? Or do you think that's a gorgeous place to finish? And we'll hand it back to Stephen.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
I think what I want...
Go, Bridgetti.
I think what I want to add to that is, don't let a good crisis go to waste. Embrace live video right now to show that your business is resilient against not just COVID, because we're going to have another crisis in future. They're going to be coming up again. Make your business resilient by being able to tell people what it is you're doing, why you're doing it, how you're doing it, what you are doing, and how you will continue to serve them.
Yeah, and what you can do for them.
What you can do for them. And talking about them, the last comment is from Patricia A. Murray saying, hello, Stephen Healy. I got the cool countdown clock that precedes my show from you. Stephen, let's pass it, as we've gone the hour, just a little bit over. Let's pass it back for you, our super producer in the background, our voice of the producer, to close off the show
from Viana do Castelo, Portugal, we are sending the emission back to the studio with Stephen.
Thank you, Marco. You have been watching Joe Shepherd and Lotttie Hearn in Ireland, Marco in Portugal, Bridgetti in South Africa, and the voice of Stephen Healy from Wiltshire in England. We'd like to thank everybody who's watched the shows this week. Thousands of people literally have actually tuned in, and we've been able to refine our ideas. Well, first of all, start off for the blueprint, refine our ideas, and really have a blast. It's been an amazing week. I just want to say thank you to everybody, and a big thank you to Pat for using the rainbow clock in all her broadcasts. So from us all here, take care. We'll be back with a blueprint. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.